What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by Major League Success. And I'm bringing to you another realtor that this is our first time really interacting and getting to know one another. But we have Shaun Hood with the Home with Hood team at Coldwell Banker. And Shaun, I really appreciate you coming on. We were just kind of chatting before we jumped on here. I was like, I don't think we've ever connected or anything like that, which I love because, I just get to know you on a deeper level and just kind of your journey. This podcast is all about sharing, your journey into the real estate space. And I just appreciate you jumping on with us this morning.
Thanks for the opportunity, John. Look forward to it. It's be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be fun for sure. And I always like to start with childhood. We start from the beginning.
Okay.
Because, as I've gotten to know agents, whether it's just on our team or, interviewing other agents here in our industry, there's always something that typically happens, early years, high school years, early college years that really impact their, whether the way they think about things or some of the systems or things that they do here in their real estate business. So what was growing up like for you?
Okay, sure. So kind of based around specifically a little bit of that question. I grew up in a small little town. It was a village called Ada,
Okay.
in Northwest Ohio. So played a lot of sports. I was involved with sports my entire, life there. And then I immediately went to college. And to be honest, it was mainly because that was kind of the direction I got from my parents.
Yeah.
I hated school. I love the people. I love the people at school, but I hated school. And that didn't change for me in college either. So I started at Ohio Northern University, ran track there for about a year and a half. But that was in the town that I grew up in. So
where's Ada? What's like income? Like we're at in the state
near Lima.
Okay.
Near Lima. It's about
Yeah.
15 minutes from Lima.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, my parents said, well, live on campus. It'll be a different experience for you. But if you're from Ada, Ada, the university is like your playground. So, I knew every square inch of that place. And I just decided, after about a year and a half that, once my second year was up, I was going to do something different. I was going to get out of Ada. So I went to I joined the Army actually.
Oh, wow. So before we get there, what did you go to school for college?
Yep. So I went into criminal justice.
Okay.
Right out of the gate. I did like a newspaper interview in high school, and this was what I wanted to be. I wanted to be an FBI agent.
Okay.
So that's not where I ended up, but that was kind of my dream early on.
Yeah. So, and it was just based off of that one paper interview. Like, did you interview?
No, before that, like we did these things. I've heard it called like where you job shadow somebody, in elementary school.
Yep.
And I did the police department. Not even 100% sure why. I think I just, I like the idea. If I really think about it, it probably boils down to service and serving people, know? So, yep.
So you go for the criminal side of things. Find out that, school's really, not for you, but, and I think that conversation's a lot. I don't know how old you are. I'm 33, it's kind of same thing. My parents, it wasn't, you have to go to college, but it was like military or college, you pick, Me and my sister, we went to college and my little brother went into the Marines. So, but that was kind of like, that was kind of the thing. So totally get that. So you go, you scratch that itch a little bit and find out that it's not for you. Um,
Yeah. Well, I ended up getting a college degree.
okay,
I joined the Army Reserve so that I could pay for college. Um, I knew I didn't want a bunch of debt. I certainly wasn't that smart, still am not, but I knew enough to know that I didn't want a bunch of college debt when I got started. So joined the Army, came down to Columbus to get Ohio State. Um, and I ended up graduating with a history degree,
oh nice,
because it was the only thing. I love history. It was the I still had no idea what I wanted to be at that point when I grew up,
yeah.
but I enjoyed history enough to kind of pursue it as a degree.
So was that going to be more of a teaching track, or
I did spend some time in Iraq. It took me, more than the normal 4 years to graduate.
sure,
So I was in and out of college based on that stuff. And when I was done with college, I knew, I mean, in order to do something really kind of the normal path, I had to get a master's. And I'm like, there's no way I'm not going to get a master's degree. So um, when I graduated, I just ended up in dental, managing dental practices
okay,
for a while. So
okay.
yeah,
Well, that's cool. So, you go through that, right? Finally graduate, get into the dental management side. Um, Kind of fill me in to the real estate space. Like,
sure.
what I guess how long were you doing the dental management? Did you go from that into real estate, or was there something else in between? Kind of
Yep.
fill me in on some of that stuff.
So I did the dental management for about 6 years. In between there's a period of time during that time where I had an opportunity to um, partner with somebody to try to start a small business,
Okay.
like a shuttle service. It was like an Uber idea before Uber. Um, Not that we're that brilliant, but that's really was the concept just locally here in Columbus.
Yeah.
It was very expensive. To start that business, you need numerous vehicles, you got maintenance. So it lasted about a year before it fell on its face. Um, and then it was just back to dentistry, managing practices. And I got to a point where I was literally just burnt out. And real estate had never crossed my mind. I did own a house at that time, but as far as making a career out of real estate, never even crossed my mind. So I had a friend, um, and we were talking, we were eating, and I was complaining about my work basically.
Yeah.
And he was a realtor. And Dave said, Shaun, you should really think about getting your real estate license. You would be great at this. And so, you know, it was a point, I think, in what I'm learning is that there's really two reasons people make a shift or a change. Um, Either they're just super, motivated, or about something, or most likely, in my experience, is you know you have enough pain, you're in a bad enough spot, your back's against the wall, where you're just like, I got to do something different. And
Yeah.
that was where I was. So um, I a little more, realized, the barrier to entry was pretty low. The cost to get my license, and to really start my small business was just a few $1,000.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm going to give this a shot. So
Now,
that's how I ended up getting into real estate.
yeah, and you talked about kind of going into a business opportunity with a partner. Was being an entrepreneur always was it like there for you? Did you enjoy that? Like for me, it was sales and entrepreneur was nothing that I knew about before getting into real estate. And when I got into real estate, I wanted to learn real estate from the investing standpoint, and it just happened. I'm like, well, I'm going to learn sales, and it just stuck, right? But was that something that you always did growing up, or did you have that background of wanting to be an entrepreneur, or was it just kind of one of those things where you were just looking for, that way out of what your current situation was?
Yeah, I never considered myself an entrepreneur or somebody that was trying to go that route. I didn't really grow up around people like that. I
Yeah,
mean, in the small town, there's not a whole lot of opportunity. My dad does have his own small business. He's an attorney, but I didn't look at that at all like being an entrepreneur.
sure.
And I most certainly never thought that I could be successful in sales. Never. Um, I'm generally, um, not super outgoing. I've grown into my skin since I've gotten into the business, but no, that was not a thing that happened. I've always worked hard. I've always, I've that's probably one of my biggest assets that kind of I learned from growing up is you got to put in the time and the effort.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So you get into real estate, and it was just to kind of get out of
yep.
the frustrations of the pain of, the, I don't even know what hours you were working, but the rat race, right, is what they say.
I yeah, the last thing I'll say, like, I'm not built for 9 to 5. I'm just not built for 9 to 5.
Yeah,
You know, uh, I like the flexibility of having my own schedule and to some extent being able to create that, but just the same thing over and over again, 9 to 5 every day. Like that's like I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but that's like hell to me.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yep,
That's me. I got in when I was 22, right out of college from Ohio State, and for me, it provided a lifestyle that I wanted to live. And at the time, 2011, a lot of people were getting into jobs or doing jobs that they didn't want to be, but it was what was available still, right?
yeah,
And doing all of that, and I'm over here like, oh man, I slept in today. I went to a happy hour today. I had a 2 hour lunch today. But and we'll get to this, but what I found is most people, get out of come in. Real estate's not typically someone's first career choice. It's usually
hmm
like they're doing something else, and then they're looking for, my experience, one of three things. They either want to make more money, they want more freedom, or they want more flexibility,
yep,
right? And with this podcast, with the Tell Me More podcast, it's the idea is bringing on successful agents to share their journey and their story. But what you typically find through these conversations is the more successful agents, team leads, brokerages, broker leaders, they tell themselves what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, every single day, with some flexibility in there, right? And some freedom in there. So,
yep.
so you get into real estate. Did you have doubters, supporters?
Oh yeah. Um, yeah. My parents initially thought I was crazy, you know. Um, they're very I love my parents, don't get me wrong. They're
Yeah,
they're great support. Um, but as far as kind of how, we do things, we definitely do things a little bit differently. So I think it's natural to have some doubt. Um, I have a couple of mentors in my life, and you know, going to 100% commission based job, um, it can be scary. So yeah, there were doubters, but I also have had since day one outstanding support. My wife has supported me from day one. Um, and like I said, my family, once things started to get rolling, they've always supported me, but there was some hesitancy, I'll say,
caution.
yeah, from people.
Well, I'm from a small town too, and it's that small town mindset, right?
Yep.
And it's a thing. You
It's
know,
very it's a very real thing, John. I mean,
yeah,
my mindset, and I've had to work on this to grow this over time. I mean, I remember when I started, I sat down with my broker and he's like, "What's your goals?" And I'm like, I would just I would love to make $50,000 a year. Like that was like awesome, you know? And so breaking that barrier of like what I can accomplish is a real thing, and it's something you really have to work on with somebody, I think.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's for me, same thing. Like my parents, they didn't doubt me, but it was caution. Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean you just went to school for 4 years and you're not going to use your degree? And, by the way, you're going to jump into a full-time commission business. Luckily for me, I was put into a situation where my team lead, I was his admin for the first year or so. So, I had some income coming in as I was getting things rolling. But same thing, it was like caution, right? It's like,
Yep.
are you sure? And the way I looked at it was one, um, if I didn't make it, I'm not moving back to small town, so and I was getting married and stuff at the time, but the way I looked at it and what I told myself is that even if I did have to move home, my dad would charge me rent anyways. So I was gonna figure it out here.
Yep, exactly.
But so did you jump into the business full time, like just from the rip, or did you kind of blend the two careers in the beginning?
Yep. So I blended. I did not jump in. I think I would say if you have the ability to do so, um, do it. You will get where you want to be quicker. But for me, it just wasn't an option. I'm married. We had a mortgage. We have payments.
Yeah.
So um, I actually quit the dental business. Went to work at a golf course. Making no money almost, but the 6 to 2.
Yeah.
So I had afternoons, evenings, and weekends to show houses and to kind of start building my business. And so that's what I did. I set a goal of, you know, months of my portion of the family budget. Like I'm gonna once I have that nest egg aside from commissions, then going all in. I'm gonna quit this golf course, and that's exactly what I did. And it took me about 3 or 4 months longer than my goal was, but I did it. It was November of I think 2017, and I went full time real estate.
What was that? Well, that's a big sacrifice, right? Like
Yes.
leaving one career to then go work at a golf course, and I know exactly what that works like. That's what I did in high school, and two of my friends went to Ohio State for turf grass science to work on golf courses. So I know what that life is like. But like, talk about that sacrifice, that decision of, okay, I'm going to leave this 9 to 5, and I don't know, maybe take a pay cut, probably to
Huge.
then free up more time, because I talk to a lot of agents that are coming from a different career. That transition is the hardest thing, and one of the things I try to always tell them is there's going to have to be a sacrifice in something if you want to make this business work for you and this transition to work for you. Sometimes it's going to be you're going to be working two full-time jobs, and you're going to sacrifice time with your friends, fun, family, whatever. Or in your case, you made a sacrifice and probably job and pay to free up some more time to focus on real estate. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, John. I mean, I'm a firm believer, you people see this stuff out here and it just looks easy. And it is a lot of sacrifice. There's sacrifice involved. There's fear involved. I think that's one of the biggest thing that stops so many people in real estate and anything in life, is just being paralyzed or succumbing to your fear, um, and not just saying, I can figure this out. But it was it was a little bit of a risk, but again, I was in a position in a place, and And I mean, having great support at the brokerage. Newton Burris is our
Yep.
broker. He was our manager. He still is. He's been a huge part of my success. I lean on him all the time still, 7 years later. And you know, so just trusting in him and kind of following his direction, and just busting butt, man. I mean, it was lots of long days. I used to say to my wife, I'd come home, I'd be sweaty, dirty, um, from the golf course, take a quick shower, change into something nice to go show homes. I'm like, it's like the Superman thing, switching from one thing to the other.
Yeah.
Um, but I started, and it was slow. It was slow. I mean, it took me, like I said, a little bit over a year. And it was only a matter of, I think, 7 transactions. So I didn't sell a lot of houses, doing it part time, but I started to get some momentum,
Yeah.
and that made all the difference.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Let's dive into that first year. What
mhm.
what year did you get licensed?
2015.
Okay, 2015. So, getting started with that transition, the sacrifices being, you said you did, I think, 7 deals your first year. What were some of those struggles? What were some of those successes? What were you focusing on, as a way to kind of build up that business and that momentum?
Yeah. So, um, I mean, I was meeting with Newton, we started coaching right off the bat. Well, not true, not true. That happened when I went full time. But there's lots of, I remember going to this class that they had called AMP, and there's all these things to like prospect and to start generating business. It's overwhelming, of all the ideas and things out there that you can do.
Yep.
It's very overwhelming. Um, and I'm getting good direction, but early on, I'm not following any of the direction. Um, I'm not making phone calls. I'm not taking the time to, do the things to kind of build a business or a
Yeah.
database. And so it was really just, you know, uh, you know, a little bit being blessed, some good fortune, people taking a risk on me early on, not having much experience, and giving me an opportunity, to work with them to buy or sell a house. Um, Really, so the first year it was a roller coaster ride. Actually, the first 2 years were.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I had a lot of self doubt. Man, am I cut out for this? Can I really do this?
Yeah.
Am I going to be able you know, um, to make some money in this business? Because it was tight for a long time,
Sure.
and so it was just. I think the key was having support, and staying plugged into that support, not isolating out of that, being in the office, staying connected to Newton and other people in the office to just reinforce.
Yeah.
I needed that. I really needed that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people struggle with one of the things I always tell every new agent, that's getting into the business, or even an agent that's, been maybe licensed a year, 2 years, 3 years, that's not consistent, is you got to find a way to be in and around real estate as much as possible.
Yep.
Whether that's office time, whether that's, if you're on a team, volunteering your time for showings, open houses, picking up signs, whatever it is. I just find that, when people are in the business more, doing realtor activities, that process of speeding up their success picks up, because it's always top of mind, especially when you're coming from another career. And for you're going from a manual labor job, probably exhausted by the end of every day, working outside, sweat, rain, cold, everything in between, to then have to go home, shower, and then go right into real estate mode. Like those are two different things. It would be different if it was from like office job to real estate, but
Right.
like, you're switching things up. But, like what you said, being plugged in, finding the right people that, will take you under their wing, that are selling real estate at a higher level. And the key, doing what they say works, right?
Man, I mean, I have there's been a change. I mean, 5 years ago when I went full time, shortly after that, Newton and I started coaching every 2 weeks. And I just had a change. I said, I remember it. I said, Newt, you just tell me what I got to do to be successful, and I'm going to do it. And literally to this day, I still, I still do the same thing. I think it's so important. There's so much to learn in this business. So I really try to stay humble and teachable, um, and keep growing, because I don't think there's nothing really special or unique about Shaun Hood. It's just that I've been fortunate enough to find somebody who's willing to pour into me. Um, and then I'm willing to take some action consistently on that direction and guidance.
What made you open up and be more receptive to that at that time? Do you know? Was it a
Yeah,
pain point? Like you said in the beginning, it's either, one side or the other. Was it a pain point? Was it
there had been, it was kind of all around the pain point of this previous, job, and it was kind of like a, not a midlife crisis, but it's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing with your life? I just felt like I was just kind of like going along with no direction, no goals, no dreams, no motivation. And so it was kind of all of this thing, I was changing careers, but I was also looking, kind of looking at myself and my life, and realizing, coming from that young, arrogant guy in my 20s to realizing you don't know anything, like,
yeah,
you don't know nothing, man. Like, you need to. And I remember too, something that popped in. I started listening to some different people and other podcasts and motivational things, and they're like, the most successful people in the world all have coaches and mentors. And that really can, uh struck me. So I'm just like, you gotta saddle up with somebody, and just start following some direction. And so that's, I just did. I made a complete shift in that. I mean, it was really a big change for me. Um, from going to, I'm going to figure this out on my own, to, hey, how do I do this? What, asking way more questions than trying to just in my head try to figure this out.
yeah, yeah. I think some of that is, all of us go through it. It's the ego side of things, right? It's,
Yeah,
hey,
I
I'm
mean,
going
it
to do it
does.
my way, and figure it out my way. And, either you stick with that, and eventually you either make it or you struggle. Or you just look at other options that are right there available to you, that align with how you want to build the business, right? And that's part of
Mhm.
this is I'm a big believer that there's hundreds of ways that a real estate agent can build business and be successful. I did
There
it through
are.
internet leads. Our team, we focus on internet leads. That's not the end all be all, right? The way there's, but we work for a certain type of agent, and agents that build businesses that way, it works for them. And other people want to rock open houses and direct mailers and door knocking, and there's so many different ways. So kind of fast forward, I want to kind of see kind of how you went along from full time to now. You have a team, right? So
Yeah.
kind of, can you tell me kind of what that trajectory was, and just kind of your thought process as you started building your real estate career?
Sure. So it's all happened really fast. I mean, I would never have, I didn't necessarily have a goal. of building a real estate team. Um, like I said, it's been a process. So, um, first full year, saw 18 houses, full time. Not bad,
Yeah.
things are going on. Um, but every single year, my business has, grown anywhere from like 30 to 50%. So there comes a point where something's got to give. Something's got to give. I mean, and one thing that I'm not willing to give on, which I think is it's my focus, and that's service. It's
Mm.
customer service. Service is everything to me. So I use that hashtag all the time, and I mean it. I mean, I live by it. So as you're trying to make more money, serve more clients, like I'm only one person, there's only so much time in a day. So it started with hiring an assistant part time to take care of my marketing stuff, social media, um, CRM stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember again, this was meeting with Newton, and we're talking, and he's like, "You need to hire an assistant," and I'm like, "What?" I mean, this was shortly after the first year. I'm like, I did deals, I mean, and I think I did like 29 the second year. So I'm like, he's like, Shaun, if you wait, it's going to be too late.
Yeah.
You're going to hire an assistant. You're going to be too busy trying to train them and stuff like that. So I bit the bullet. I'm not making a whole lot of money, and I'm spending money on somebody else now. But I hired that assistant part time. Shortly thereafter, um, that worked into a full time position for her. And so probably so let's see, Chad's been with me for 3, so it was about 2 years into it. um, I decided to bring on Chad, my first buyer's agent.
Yeah.
um, and again, that was to serve, be able to serve the clients, not miss out on leads and opportunities, because these
Yeah.
people were just falling through the cracks. So and it's just kind of grown from there. So now we've got, there's 5 of us, and we've got a full time, team manager that runs everything contract to close. I hire out. I pay for some marketing help on video stuff and stuff like that. Um, so does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I mean, I talk to agents about this all the time. The one thing that I learned in my career, and with my mentor and team lead Ryan, was the power of leverage, right? And what you said with service, right? What you needed to do is create more leverage within the business to allow you to service more people at the level that you wanted to give them if they were working with you personally,
Yep.
right? And you need everyone else around you to be able to do that. And obviously, as you bring people into your business, the goal, a lot of us, we think of it as an expense,
Right.
not as the investment. Like, I'm looking at a conference, that I want to go through to at the end of August this morning, and I'm like, oh man, it's $500 plus. I'm like, okay, do I want to spend that money? No, it's the investment, right? You got to think of the investment. And
Yeah.
one of the things that my coach is helping me with is, you know, if you want to get to that next level and you're not there yet, you got to hire for the person past that. Like, if you're doing $1 million a year in gross commission sales or whatever, and you need to bring someone in that's comfortable getting, keeping you at 1 million, that's the wrong hire. You need to hire that person that can get you to 10 million, right? And yeah, it's going to cost you more. Your business may not be there yet. You may not have the finances yet, but that's the hire, because they're going to show you how to get you there.
Right.
Like, your marketing person is going to help you be a better marketer, right? And we always seem to look at that as an expense. And it's really this person, it's an investment. And if they're the right hire and the right person, they're going to help us do more. They're going to help us be better. They're going to help us provide a higher level of service. And that's what the buyers, your team's for. Ultimately is I want to, like you said, I'm one person. I can't do it all.
Yeah, I mean, there comes a point where it's, it's law of diminishing returns. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't, you can only make so much money. You can only, so, I mean, if that's where you want to be, that's fine. But if you want more, then you ultimately have to, take those next steps like you're talking about.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. I mean, and 5 years you've had the team.
It- like
Roughly.
4 years probably
Yeah.
since I hired the first person. Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. So things have been moving. How have you gone about building your business? Has it been through SOI, leads, open houses? Like
Yep.
what's kind of your guys' model?
Um, so I'm very, very simple. Like I said earlier,
Small town, right? We're simple people.
yeah. I mean, like I said earlier, and I couldn't agree with you more about different ways
Yeah.
to be successful in this business. I 100% agree with that. Um, for me, again, I keep referring back to Newton, but he's like, what are you going to do to prospect, to build your business? And he went through all these things, and I'm like, no, 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 no. What it boiled down to, um, and the key for me was, what am I willing to do consistently? That's the word. So um, it was open houses. I started out doing open houses. And the other thing is something that we call the prospecting pyramid, which is it's your database that's broke up into 4 groups. And it's a rotation every month between a phone call, text message, an email, a handwritten note.
Mm,
Um, and so I don't do open house as much anymore, but I still do this prospecting pyramid to this day. Um, I've added a few things, but really almost all of my business is referral business or sphere of influence or past clients.
yeah.
So over 95%.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different than yours, but that's what works for me. The other thing that I did, I didn't even have social media when I got my real estate license. So um, that was another thing. They're like, you got to get Facebook, you got to get on Instagram. I balked for a while, but then I did that. I got on there. Then uh, my coach is like, you got to start doing videos. And I'm like, no way. Um, but I started doing them, and I generate, first of all, social media doesn't cost me anything, a little bit of time. Um, I've been able to reconnect with so many people that it's life that I wasn't connected to before, and to kind of build that relationship.
Yeah.
And I've garnered a lot of business from social media, just by being out there. So I make sure to be consistent with my social media posting. I'm consistent with prospecting. Don't get me wrong. At this point in my career, I may be lacking or real bad about it for a month or two, but you can better believe, like I know that if that happens, that that second or third month, I'm going to be back on prospecting
Yeah.
hot and heavy. I'm going to be all over it. So, um, yeah, I mean, those are the things that I've done, and I cannot stress enough the importance of just being consistent. Whatever you're going to do, you got to do it consistently.
Yeah, and that's a great that's a great story. When he was telling you, okay, you could do this, this, this. What I tell agents, like, you got to be truthful to who you are and your personality.
Yep.
For me, I always was terrible with cold seller leads. Walking into a house and selling myself in an hour, long appointment with someone that I didn't know that was probably interviewing 2 to 3 other agents, I was just terrible at. But you see all these things like, oh, you got to be a listing agent to be successful. And in order to really keep your business going, you need listings and all. Sure. I did way better with buyer leads. Right. And the reason why was I was able to build a relationship over time through my follow-ups, my prospecting, the showings,
Mhm.
being in front of them that way. And I always tell agents, consistency is the only thing that matters. But you have to pick something that you are going to enjoy doing that's in alignment with who you are and your personality. You rocked it at open houses. I was terrible at open houses, right? So, and part of that's my personality. I'm just a
Right.
little bit more, reserved. And, if you catch me at a networking event, I'm standing in the corner off to the side unless I know a couple of people, right? Some people, they thrive in that environment. And then the conversation is, okay, well, how many of those environments can we get you in on a regular basis?
Right.
Open houses, can you do 2 to 3, 4 open houses every single weekend? If that's what you want to focus on. So that's awesome. That's awesome. And I haven't heard of the prospecting pyramid. So that's a cool little follow-up system there.
Yeah, it's very basic. We started out, literally the agent development specialist at my office. She's now a great agent, Katie Jones.
Okay.
She used to she had an Excel spreadsheet made in my database, and every month she would rotate these people into those each of those categories for me. So, I mean, it was very rudimentary, but it's very I mean, it works. It
Yeah.
works. And I think the key the so along the lines of consistency, the only thing I wanted to mention again, and I kind of touched on it, but you know, you don't have to. I've been very methodical and intentional about, yeah, I'm adding layers of marketing, but it's been very, very methodical and slow. Like, you know, because if I'm not doing, I want to do everything that I do, I want to do very well.
Hmm.
And if I'm adding something that takes away from this over here, then in my opinion, um, I'm not ready to do it yet. So I just the consistency is the key, and I've added spinning plates is what we call them, other ways to
Yeah.
market, but I've been very slow to do it in the sense that, I want to make sure that I can consistently stay with the prospecting pyramid. Um, Today I have a little more money. I have a marketing budget. I can spend some money on things that don't necessarily cost me time.
Sure.
So I can add layers, but I don't have to come out of the gate and be doing 5 different, things, prospecting wise. I'm a firm believer that first of all, it's gonna run me ragged. Um, and I'm just not successful that way. Maybe other people are better with multitasking, but not me.
No, I mean, the reality is this. M- From my experience and what I've seen, and my own personal experiences, most agents that are successful in their business, that are consistent in their business, focus on 2 to 3 things, and that's it.
Yep.
Like, and when you get outside of that, unless you bring people on, to be able to run those things, you're not going to be successful at all of them. You're juggling at that point, right?
Yeah.
And what you said in the beginning, what did you focus on? You focused on open houses and prospecting pyramid. That
Yep.
was it. And then as your business grew and you brought some people in, you were able then to expand out. So what I tell agents, like, figure out your two to three business pillars, go narrow on those, work those, and then when those become foundational pieces to your business, almost like it's clockwork, right? You don't have to think
Mhm.
about it, it's just going, then you can expand.
Yep.
But I mean, there's not everyone out there crushing everything. You don't
No.
crush mailers and internet leads and open houses, and like it just doesn't work.
Uh-uh.
It doesn't work. So I wanted to kind of fast forward into the future, and just wanted to kind of see what are some of the is there one big goal or accomplishment that you're looking to do in the next 12 months?
In the next 12 months,
Yeah,
well, the next 12 months, I mean, we're just still focused on our annual goals for 2022, individually and as a team. So we track those. We're heavy on tracking. We keep data. I just found that it's good to keep that front of mind, not to be, not to put pressure on me or people on the team, but
right.
when you stay focused on the goal, you're more intentional about that. We've had better success. So that's really the other thing. My videos have fallen off a little bit, so I could say I have been interviewing people, and I've got a guy who I'm going to start working with to do some more professional videos every other week. So that's a goal that I want to have in place, within the next month. So,
Yeah,
but those are important to me in my social media marketing.
nice, awesome. What's something that you're looking to accomplish in the next 5 years? Personal, team, business?
So my wife and I also we do real estate investing.
Mm,
So we've been doing that coming up on 4 years. Um, so we're going to keep growing that um, and building our portfolio. Um, and I think we'll be done growing in the next 5 years, and then we can start paying down and kind of building the cash flow there. Um, and then within 5 years, I'll be 45. My plan is to really kind of, well, one of our goals is to be able to spend a few months down in Florida at that time,
yeah,
in the winter. So, um, have another place in Florida where we can go down to, kind of start splitting time and have my team in place here so that I have the ability to do that.
yeah.
So,
Are you guys doing a lot of long term, or have you looked into any Airbnbs?
so we've got a mix.
Okay,
We've got our portfolio is four. We got four annual rentals here in Columbus, and then we've got two Airbnbs up and running. One in Naples, Florida. One in Hocking Hills, and we're finishing up right now. It's three doors, it's actually a triplex in Naples in the same neighborhood. Those are all Airbnbs. So
awesome.
it's been a process, but yeah, I mean, it's as you know, you said you got into it for investing, so I assume you're an
Yeah.
investor. It's two different animals, but it's a really wow. Airbnbs are pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, you know, it's so funny. I got in 2011, the tail end of, the market and all that, still dealing with a lot of foreclosures and short sales. And Ryan had a REO portfolio that we were selling off for a bank, 120 foreclosures. And him and I kick ourselves in the face all the time because we're like, man, only if we would have bought these things, for 15, 20 grand back then, why didn't we think about that? And now they're worth, like 200,000 or more. And it's like, and like the Airbnb thing is the same way. Like it's been going on for however many years. And one of the agents on our team is very big into it. And she's helping now other agents and just, normal investors get into that space. So that's something that's been top of my mind. And I don't have one yet, but it's an end of this year goal, early next year goal is to get the first one. And for
Nice.
me, long term, buy and hold doesn't really excite me as much as kind of like, I don't know, Airbnb is a little bit higher risk, higher reward type thing.
Yep.
Flipping's kind of my thing. So like you said, it's two
Okay.
completely different, things. And it's interesting that you brought that up. So I was always just curious of if you've tapped into that space. So
Yep. It was. It was. it'll change your view on things. I mean, obviously, it's always getting over the hurdle of taking the risk in it.
Yeah.
Um, and not to get too sidetracked, but if you're out of state or somewhere else, property manager, your two keys, manager and cleaner. If you got those two things in place, you're golden. If you've done your math and your numbers. So, but it's whole nother level of return on ROI. Yeah.
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 Yeah, for sure. Um, I know we got a couple of minutes left. I want to be respectful of your time, and I really do appreciate you jumping on and sharing your story. I've enjoyed the conversation, but I always love to end the podcast with this one question, and it's if you could give the audience, whether they're just getting into the business or they're thinking about building a team or someone that's similar to you, one piece of advice, what would that advice be?
Um, don't do this alone. Don't do this alone. There are people out there in this business that uh, will help you. That will are willing to be a mentor. Um, like I said earlier, are willing to pour into you uh, because not just because of the experience needed or lack. I mean, I remember my first few deals, I literally had no clue what I was doing. So that's one element of it. But like I was saying before, I think that the mental and emotional side of this business, it can be a roller coaster. It can be, for me, it drew in periods of time where I had a lot of self doubt, and so I have to be able to lean on somebody that can reinforce, what I need to hear. Shaun, you can do this. Um, you know, or tell me something that may not feel real good to me at the time, but it's um, out of love and a way to help me and move me forward. You know, dude, you're not doing what you said you were going to do. You're not doing the things that you need to do to be successful. Um, you're only fooling yourself. So there's times that I've needed and still need those kinds of people. So I just think the most important thing is to not try, it's so easy just to, because with technology, we can just stay at home, try to run a business from the home office. And it's not for me, I would have never made it. I would have never made it. So get somebody that'll help you and, you know, try to add some value to them too, but lean on them.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Shaun, I really appreciate you jumping on and sharing your story and your journey into the business and up to where you're currently at and where you want to go. Those that are watching, you guys can connect with him at the bottom of the screen. His phone number is down there. If you guys are a real estate agent and you just want to pick his brain and ask questions, give him a call, shoot him a text. If you guys are here in the Columbus market looking to buy, looking to sell, and you want to get connected with Shaun, make sure you reach out to him. But for Shaun, those that are listening on the podcast, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Call or text me. My number is 419-234-6939.
Shaun, thank you so much. I had a blast just getting
Thank
to
you,
know
John.
your
I did
story.
too, man. This was a lot of fun. Thanks again for the opportunity.
Of course, of course. Thanks again.
Yep. See ya.